Hey, what's up, everybody? It's Jeff, and I have two out of three of our awesome trio that led us in Mastery Chat today. We have Journée and we have Anne from FlipGrid, and Jess was there as well. And you guys did a fantastic job. What a fun chat. I mean, we always love our Mastery Chat, so it's but this was a really cool one because there was three of you moderating, which is neat and a little bit different. I think we've done two. I don't think we've ever done three, which is cool. But it brought a different. There's a lot of. It was a good topic, a really cool topic. I enjoyed the answers. I thought we were just talking beforehand how all those little side conversations that got going, there were a lot of them going tonight. So the topic was engage to achieve. And I think FlipGrid fits in very well to that and how it's used in so many different ways. So first off, let me flip to you, Journée, just in case the tornado does come through. Let's go to you first. How are you feeling right now after the chat? How'd it go?
Oh my goodness.
What's in your head?
It's incredible when you craft these questions along with two amazing colleagues, but then to have educators from all around the world. There was someone from Brazil, I think I saw on earlier. Someone, I think from Japan. I don't remember. I know it was like Far East. That's just so exciting.
China and Mexico and a whole bunch of Canada.
It's awesome. Yeah, there's so many educators from all around the world just on fire, engaging in these questions that we, thought very deeply about. So it's a great feeling to know that these questions generated so many sparks of ideas and educators learning from one another and then taking action for next steps for their own classrooms. So they're very empowering.
Hey, Anna, how are you feeling?
I love it. I feel a chat like this always energizes me because I love saying the best answers, every question I'm seeking, my learning journey. I don't have all the answers myself. I can always go to my PLN and the answers or ideas or something to challenge me or my thinking is always at my fingertips because I'm usually tweeting like this on my phone. But that's the best part of being a connected educator or tapping into the social brain of a chat like this, so many incredible ideas that inspire me. And I know you said that you took some screenshots of answers. I was kind of curating my own list of some things that just really sparked gave me a brain zing,
We're going to talk about that. Actually, we got Jess coming in, so I'm going to bring her in real quick here.
Awesome.
And we're going to have a full chat now. Hi, Jess.
Hey, sorry.
Awesome that you could jump in and join us. We got the full house now.
Hey.
The dynamic trio here. We were just talking. We were just kind of touching on just sort of how you were all feeling after the chat. So, Jess, you're up now. So, how are you feeling after the chat? I thought it was amazing, but I'm getting the feel from your end.
So, I taught middle school math, and there were my people were in that chat.
Yeah, there was a lot.
There was a lot of math talk going on and so many people that were just speaking to my soul. So I heard Anne just talking about screenshotting things and I've got a lot to circle back to and reread. And oh my gosh, I just feel really excited.
Good. I'm glad. That makes me feel awesome. And I know our whole team loves that. We were super excited to have the three of you represent FlipGrid and lead us tonight and stuff. So, and did you actually screenshot some or were you taking notes or what did you do?
I had some notes. I was just copying and pasting some tweet links to remember. But there was, I don't know if the handle Ethical Lit said something about her students. If students are introverted or how do they feel comfortable? And she used the phrase, letting them utilize technology to feel a space, to develop their own comfort level before they contribute. And I love that in terms of how can we empower our students? And sometimes everybody learns differently and everybody engages differently. But I love that she pointed out this idea of feeling a space. And I thought that's a really cool, unique way to empower somebody rather than just saying, oh, I expect you to jump in and contribute right away,
Yeah, it gives them that opportunity to feel it out. I like that. So Journée, any particular tweet or anything standing out to you that's in your head right now?
I think that last one, a lot of people talked about like failing forward, talked about taking risks in their classroom. There was someone, let me see if I can find really quick. I have my phone up that posted just like a little board, just like a visual for their students. Like where are you? Because it is a mindset. And I think oftentimes we don't talk to our kids about mindsets, and everything starts within the mind. If the mind can conceive it, then you really can achieve it. And so we're like our first, I guess, roadblock when it comes to fear. And I think the more that we as educators embed this notion of risk taking in everything that we do, we're going to be creating these future adults that will be able to have these, conversations with other people. Will be able to share their ideas without feeling like maybe their ideas are not of value or worth it, or they don't belong in that type of space. So I think those tweets, and especially the ones that had some visuals of what they were already doing, really just lit a fire about how we can do that a little bit more. Even us as FlipGrid, how can we promote that notion even more, because that's all embedded within student voice.
Yeah, and I saw a lot of the answers, and I loved it. Is so many of those answers to question 6 were around, or either straight up said it, or were built around the idea of modeling failure, of sharing and being transparent. When someone, let's see, I'm trying to think of who it was. There's one that actually said, so Eric Guys actually said, I like to point out when a lesson I created flops. Yeah. I explained what I could do better and then implement it the next lesson. So he's talking about like a lesson flop. I'm going to share it with my students. Then I'm going to explain to them why it flopped, what I could do better, and then show them that I learned from it the next time. Like, that's powerful.
Yeah.
Showing them, to you were touching on, they were able to have these conversations and do these things. And I was thinking in my head and grow and learn, right? And that's going to allow them to do amazing things that we can't even think of yet in the future. And I think that's crucial. So yeah, I was really happy to see a lot of the answers. I'm flipping through and like, they're all, they were a lot of just taking risk myself to expose when I fail, it's not the end of the world. Just keep moving forward and grow from it.
That's what I was going to point out too. That last question really stuck.
Yeah.
And just seeing, someone said that students need to understand that we're all teachers and we're all learners.
Yeah.
So being in this space where we're creating a comfortable enough environment that we can make mistakes as well, and the students watch this. Someone said that their classroom is simultaneously the riskiest place and the safest place.
Yes.
Oh, I love that.
Make mistakes.
I feel like I love that shot, and that's where was that? I think I snapshot that, but maybe I didn't. Yeah, that was Matthew Wyman said, my class is simultaneously the riskiest place and the safest place, which I love. That's like such a great way to describe that. So
he's someone that I definitely want to talk to more. I want to pick his brain. Yeah. Yeah,
he's typically very active in MasteryChat. Always just bringing awesomeness every week. So yeah, we enjoy having Matt in there. So let's take it all the way back to question 1. Well, I took a lot of snapshots. I had to go. I'm like just clicking through right there. So question 1 was, how do you amplify student voice and engage your learning community to ensure successful outcomes? I'm gonna let the 3 of you jump in if there's any that are popping in your head right now, and then I'll read off a couple and just get your thoughts going through. Anything, Jess, that's popping up, a tweet that you thought of, or a sort of a theme in the answers?
I want to run and grab my computer so I can have them both up.
All right. Well, while you do that, we're going to flip to Anne. Anne, what do you got?
Well, she's doing that. It started off, of course, with a ton of student choice, and a lot of folks were talking about providing choice. But I believe it was Mr. Wyman who said, when my students get to decide what they do or how they do it, they turn up the heat on how they do it. And I loved that because choice looks different for everybody. But when you give them that choice, ownership shifts, engagement shifts, the enthusiasm behind it shifts. But I love how he just phrased it with, they turn up the heat on how they do it.
I love that.
And I'm gonna highlight an educator that we actually was able to see in action. So her name is Neela Newton. And she said, so many have said offering choice as a way to engage students. I always take the time to get to know what students are interested in and try to weave that into what we are learning about. And we were able to firsthand see Neela put students' passions and ideas first when she hosted a student ed camp on a Saturday, and you had all these kids showing up, just sharing all of these awesome ideas and engaging their friends and some incredible learning. And so, it's one thing to see it on a tweet, but to know, that you've seen that educator make that happen, like that is a really great feeling. So definitely wanted to amplify Neela.
That is awesome.
Yeah.
So Jess, what do you got for us?
Yes. It's funny because actually the one that I did have that stood out was a classroom that we went to as well. Game Boy Drew down in El Centro. He talked about how he amplifies student voice by listening to his students. And I think that so often we stifle their voices because we're the teacher and I'm the person that's supposed to be talking. But then even when we give them a chance to speak, we don't always listen as well as we should.
That's such a big piece. We already have in our heads
so
what we're going to say. Yeah.
Exactly right. Exactly.
Well, that makes complete sense because Drew's awesome, so that just makes sense. So there's one. Then this is give a shout out to FlipGrid, so I'll read this one too. George Evans says, "You shut up and let students do the thinking and talking." So he said FlipGrid helps with that because it amplifies the amount and type of conversations happening at any given time because they can have that within there. Let's see if I got some other one here. So I'm flipping through. Beth Manning said, and I'll give her a shout out because she's actually she's a grid method user. So one of the things that we train on is the grid method. She amplified student voice by allowing wait time, think, pair, share, followed by random popsicle sticks, and letting students reflect in videos like FlipGrid. So she's a twofer, but we like it. So, but a lot of what she's talking about is what we train on in the grid method, and that's that wait time, that thinking and pair and share, where they're able to work with each other and stuff. So, let's look at anything else on question one you want to touch on, or anything else popping up? Let me ask this, and anybody can jump in. Was there one particular question that you laid out that you were more excited about to see the answers to than the others?
I was really excited about the risk-taking one, but we already talked about it.
Well, and I think it panned out how we wanted it to, right? Yeah, I was excited about that one too, and it worked like it did. Jornay, any one that you thought that you were excited about or interested in, or maybe were surprised by the answers tonight?
Yeah, so before in our live beforehand, it was that last question regarding risk taking, but it was more so about what are you going to do as an educator to foster this in your classroom. And so I think a lot of people discuss what they already do in their classroom and not necessarily maybe some next steps. So I'm hoping that educators are now inspired by maybe what some other people are sharing that they're already doing and will implement those things as next steps for their classroom.
Do you think could we set up a grid for MasteryChat participants to jump on and share how they're doing that?
Oh, absolutely.
Yes.
Do you know a platform we could use to do that? Maybe like do their individual videos and then everyone could go see them.
Yeah, and you know what? It's interesting that you mentioned that because when we wrote that as platform, we wrote it as opportunity, not necessarily a tech platform, because we truly believe in pedagogy first before any type of tech tool. That just gets you there in some kind of way, but. Obviously, I hope no one took that the wrong way when that word platform was said, but we really did mean it as what opportunities are you giving your students?
Someone actually did mention the change of words, but I read it the way that you said. I read that as a platform, meaning like the opportunity, like what are you going to allow them to do and stuff. So I thought that was great.
Yeah.
So, Anne, was there a question that you were excited about?
Yeah, so same thing with Tiffany before the chat. I was super ready for Q4, but I think Q3 got me in a way that I wasn't expecting, which was asking about students bringing their own unique experiences to every learning environment. In what ways do you empower students to use their background? And one of the tweets that really caught my attention was from Thomas Condon, I'm not sure his last name, T. Condon 2013. And he said he starts every Monday with a food talk. And it's a powerful way to build relationships. And I thought, that's interesting. And so they talk about family dynamics, interest, relationships, and all lessons eventually relate back to food or fishing or family and fun. And I thought that's a cool way to really like food is in some capacity, despite we eat different things, but it's universal because most people have a meal a day, and it's based family and culture, and our differences are rooted in the way we share a meal together. But I thought, how fun to just kind of start off a Monday with like a food talk. And even though it's a super simple way to engage in conversation, it can splinter off in so many more personal, powerful stories. And that's how you build relationships, right?
Yeah, and I think food is such a it's such a sort of what's the word I'm looking for. It's I can't think of the right word, so I'm going to use the only word I could. Like, it's not scary. It's not.
Yeah.
It's not. It's easy to talk about, but when you dig into the food that you eat, or the way you sit down at the table or not sit down at the table, and the types of foods that you enjoy, or where you go out to eat, like there's so much of that comes from our background and our culture, like the way we, the foods we enjoy.
Yeah,
and there's always a story behind.
And there's always a story, right? We eat this every Tuesday night at 6, and why is that? Oh, because my grandma used to do it, because that's what only thing she knew how to make when she first came to America, or something. Like there's these stories that start and go through, and I'm thinking of my wife's grandma with the spaghetti and their sauce, because I used to invite everyone over on Wednesdays after bowling, and they'd have like 30 kids, like those types of stories. But you get these backgrounds, and I'm just thinking of kids talking about food, and someone mentions a food that no one else has heard of.
Yeah,
and we get to have story time of like, well, what is that? What's that? Oh, well, that's from because my grandfather has this type of culture or this ancestry.
Like, have you ever eaten a hot Cheeto pizza?
We know some people who have.
Well,
I don't know, but
student ed camp.
Oh, there you go. I did see a thing today where people are putting Peeps on pizza.
What?
Like the Peeps? Well, the article, I think it was a BuzzFeed or something. It was like people are putting Peeps on pizza and they need to go to jail for it, which I agree with. But I think that's the hot.
You know what? It becomes this beautiful thing too. So yes, we take our unique experiences about it, but then it also brings us together. That it reminds us that we're all one, right?
Exactly.
That even you could be a classroom of completely. Everyone's super diverse. No one has the same background, whatever, but there's this thread that's common weaved through all of us, and it kind of brings us closer together just by having a silly conversation about food.
Yeah, absolutely. And then, what a great way to just to get to know. Get to know. So Anne, you said number 4 you were excited about, which was talking about breaking down the 4 walls of our classroom and leveraging technology. Did you feel like that? Did you get what you were hoping out of that? Did you?
So did
it go the direction you thought it was going to go, or? Well,
the funny part about moderating a chats roll so fast, and then you splinter off into these side conversations. So I feel like I've almost missed Q4, and I need to go back and find all of them. Which Q3 really got me, and then I was following all these other rabbit trails. So I just need to go back and reread through things. The beauty of it's there now. I can find it. So it's not that it didn't deliver. It's that I just straight up missed it.
Jeff said he's hungry now, so that's. Which I'm like, me too. I'm like, I oddly I want pizza with Peeps on it now. I don't know what's wrong with me. It's funny you mentioned that, and because Tiffany and I always talk about how like we're in the same chat, but we never have the same experience.
Right.
And we'll be like, oh, did you see the thread going about da 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 da? No, I didn't. Did you see the one about this? No, it's so cool that these little conversations and people get to kind of go that way. So I was trying to see. So Mark Heinz actually said that he's seen this a lot, but he feels that a lot of the courses that they teach have not changed to want that sort of diverse perspective. So he said we're still stuck in the 4 walls mindset. We have to change our courses to be that. And I agree. I think there are still a lot of restrictions that and things that traditional quote unquote mindsets that are in there that don't set it up or make it easy for educators to take it beyond the 4 walls. But I think where we're at in technology, we have the ability to do that. And it's amazing when we see that, there was a lot of people talking about, utilizing Skype and Skype scientists and doing the Google Earth and going on the expeditions and things like that. Any cool or unexpected tools or uses or ideas for breaking down the four walls that popped out to any of you?
I saw somebody mention Nearpod VR, and I thought that was cool because I used Nearpod before, way back in the day, and I've done a lot of training on it in my former school district. And I love that VR component for students who might not have the ability to get outside of, a geographic region. And my response was, Nearpod VR is how I personally have visited the pyramids in Egypt. So those experiences really provide opportunity in crazy, amazing ways. So I loved that response.
And those are opportunities like that. Some people are never going to be able to go see the pyramids.
Yeah.
I don't know what the percentage is, but I'm assuming it's a fairly low percentage of the world population that ever actually will. Yeah. So the fact that we have the ability to go and at least experience it to some degree is just really cool where we're at.
Totally.
Jornay, anything from you? Anything popping up?
I didn't hear the question. I had a service interruption.
Oh gosh.
So now I'm on my phone.
So talking about there's not a tornado, is there?
Well, the weather is coming through right now. So.
Okay.
Well, just be careful.
I'm glad you switched you were able to switch back on. So we were just talking about question number 4, talking about, breaking down basically going beyond the 4 walls. And then I was just wondering if there was any uses of different types of technology, or maybe a new technology you've never heard of that anybody mentioned, or it's just a cool story that you saw.
I don't know if I saw anything new to me. I saw a lot of Skype and Google Hangouts, as well as, of course, FlipGrid, the VR components, etc. I think someone also just mentioned connecting with just other experts, and not necessarily mentioning a tech tool, but one thing about that is that you have these people that you may know personally, maybe a part of your family, where you can have these firsthand experiences shared with your students. And we saw one recently with FlipGrid a few months ago about a teacher just asked her grandmother to share her experience with World War II, I believe, with the students. And so just to be able to take those connections you have and bring that world to your students, whether it's face-to-face or with the use of technology to amplify that, is incredible. I always say firsthand learning impacts people. So the more that you can definitely do that for your students, or for students to be able to ask their families and have their connections and let that be student driven, is even better. So
I think sometimes it doesn't need to be crazy, amazing sounding. I remember seeing it was a couple of people that were connecting with a teacher in Toronto who's a high school English teacher reading a book to first or second graders in Orlando, Florida. And I said it was such a simple thing. It's just a simple Skype call, and they put them up on a video. But here you have someone from Canada. So now these students we're talking about another country, even though, right north of us. So now we're talking geography in a different country. He's got a pretty strong Canadian accent. So now we're hearing someone that sounds differently than we do, that looks a little bit differently, that says words differently. And that I think it was second graders. So just the learning that they had beyond, and then just experience of, someone cool coming in the classroom or whatever. It was kind of neat, but just it doesn't have to be crazy and, and expansive. It can be just a simple, like you said, just talking, having my grandma come in and share, because it's someone who has a different viewpoint, a different life experience than what I did or what the kids did and stuff. So that's
someone shared that they had a friend who taught in Zimbabwe, and so they connected their classrooms and how his students were so shocked to see that there weren't lions roaming around everywhere. But the sentence that stood out to me was, change their perceptions, spark learning. Yeah. Right? That we have these misconceptions, really, of what the outside world looks like. But just by that little connection, totally sparks learning from changing, or even just hearing someone from Toronto with an accent different than theirs. That they get sparked from that. It's beautiful.
Yeah, it's really cool. That's it. Yeah, I saw one come through. I don't think I grabbed the snapshot of that one, but that was a good one as well. So, let me look. I think we've covered almost all the questions, haven't we? That's number 5. What was number 5?
About creativity.
So creativity being a catalyst for learning. What type of learning tasks do you provide students to showcase their creativity? Anything that jumps out at you on this one?
Charles C. Wiggly, Ms. Piggly Wiggly is her Twitter handle. I love that.
I love that.
I like that she talked about doing creative work after like a direct learning experience. It was a unique way she said it. She goes, we do our more creative work after research. Groups do Chopped Junior in my room after researching the basket ingredients. Students create book trailers after analyzing text. They make Greek myth infographics after a careful study. Creative opportunities enhance learning. And I loved that because they're still engaging in very rich, meaningful content. And the teacher might weave that, whether it's direct learning, small group learning, independent, whatever. But then there was all these opportunities for various types of a creation outlet to showcase the learning that took place. Yeah. And I don't think there's a right or wrong time, whether it's pre, post, during, whatever. But I just thought she phrased that in a really great way. That creative opportunities enhance the learning. And I loved that.
Yeah, definitely. Anything, Jess, or
this one really spoke to me because when I was in the classroom, my favorite thing was to just say to my students, okay, prove to me that you learned this unit, and just let them go.
I'm pretty sure I screen scrapped yours. I did
doing that. And it was really fun to just read a lot of teachers that are doing that same thing. Because of course, being a secondary math teacher, I got a lot of like, you can't do that in math. But my students constantly surprised me, and it was unbelievable. They'll exceed your expectations every time if you just allow for them to do so. So it just, as Anne would say, that question gave me all the feels. I just loved reading people's responses and thinking about what happens when you let students just have free reign and be creative.
And I think that's
Jornay, your video got really cute over there.
So this is Jade. She always tries to pop in. She whispered to me, "Is this YouTube?" So she's a future YouTuber.
It's not YouTube, but it's cooler than YouTube.
But earlier we discussed, when you hear creativity, a lot of people have a misconception that creativity has to be something dealing with art or music. It's a way of thinking. And I think when it comes to quality questioning and making sure that what we're asking our students is open-ended to allow them to showcase their learning in the way that they communicate. So, for example, today I saw a tweet earlier by Joe Merrill, who's an amazing first grade teacher. He basically did like a Honey, I Shrunk the Kids video for his students, but they were math tasks. And his students were able to show different ways to solve these mathematical problems and have fun with it. And so, there may have been students choosing to like draw things out on their desk where others are, writing equations. And so I think that's a conversation that we need to keep having in education when we're talking about creativity. It's a way of thinking, and everyone's creative brain thinks in a different way, and not to force a certain type of, outlet of creativity on students, because they come with those, I guess, beautiful differences in the classroom, and that's how they learn from one another. So I can't wait to just see where that conversation continues, because I think we can just kind of, once again, break that cycle of thinking creativity is only one thing.
Yeah.
And you mentioned that it was Stella Pollard, actually. Stella's always in our chat. She said the biggest eye-opener for her was realizing that in order to embrace student creativity, she needed to incorporate more student choice. But she said, then she touched on what you said, everyone has different creative strengths. She said, I grew up believing I was not creative because I couldn't draw.
Yeah.
Oh my God.
I had the same thing. I couldn't draw at all. Like, I was into music, but I still had this when I heard of creativity, I always thought like drawing. Like, I didn't even realize the fact that music.
That's what we were
Musically, I was creative.
Yeah.
I was
Yeah.
like, I can draw a stick figure. I still can only draw stick figures.
Right.
But like, so that's I really love that. It's a great way. And I think for students to understand that too, that you are creative even if you can't just draw or you can't play an instrument.
How many times do we still hear adults say that? Oh, I don't have a creative bone in my body. I can only
I
draw a
know.
stick figure. Like,
Right?
they're always connected.
Meanwhile, they figured out how the angles and what to mow the lawn to cut it down by 25 minutes or something like crazy like that, right? Or like they built this crazy storm drain thing to irrigate their garden. You're like, you're extremely creative. You just haven't you're not using the word right. So
Right.
yes, very cool. Okay, so I think we covered all that. Really quick, just for anybody who may not know, can you each just do a quick? I think you may have done this with Tiff or not, but just sort of what your role is with FlipGrid.
Someone want to take it for all of us?
And you want to start?
Well, I'll start. I like to, so we briefly spoke about it with Tiffany, and what I like to say when I describe what our job is, we are teachers helping teachers. And I think that's what drew us out of the classroom in the first place. I know for me, after 10 years in the classroom, I stepped into a coaching role in my district because I felt called to help more students by helping more teachers. And that's what I get to do now. It's just scaled out in a completely different way. But we have the great honor of working on the engagement team at FlipGrid as educators on the team. And so our job is literally to help teachers and students. And that looks different every day, whether it's responding to emails or engaging in conversations on different social platforms. We create content, integration docs, share blog resources, provide supports, whether it's in person at professional development or training. I'll be working with high school teachers tomorrow morning. Jess is doing a train the trainers tomorrow. Jornae's been working on this incredible DNA day with educators in her community. Like, we do different things every day, but it's rooted in helping our teachers and students to achieve more or explore possibilities or utilize a tool to really give the opportunity for our students to share their voice in unique ways.
I love it. And where are you at, Ann?
I live in California, so I moved closer to the wall because the sun is, it was like 75 today. And a few days ago, I was in 10 inches of snow in Minnesota. So I'm in this weird, like, in-between land of
Let me tell you about an in-between land. I'm in Northeast Ohio, and 3 days ago we had snow, and today it was 75. So today it was California.
Yeah.
Actually, it was actually about, I think it got up to 78.
Oh my.
And 3 days ago it was 30. It was like 28, 30 degrees snowing. Like,
Right.
Ohio doesn't know what day or season it is ever. It's ridiculous. So.
Well, I'm currently standing barefoot in shorts in California.
Jornae, you said you're in Alabama?
Yes, I'm currently in Huntsville, Alabama. I have a background in elementary education. I taught second grade for a while, became an administrator, and from there I found my passion with instructional coaching. And I scaled that out by working with the State Department and working with 12 different school districts on their professional development needs when it came to instructional technology, and did a lot of presenting, and that led me to FlipGrid. And so I was able to just take all of my passions into what I do every single day with FlipGrid, and that's just empower and amplify what's going on in schools and just being there for the educators who are making that great work happen every single day.
Awesome. And Jess?
So I'm in Tampa, Florida. So I grew up in Pittsburgh, so close to you, and the weather that you described is exactly why I'm in Florida.
I'm about 2 hours from Pittsburgh, so
okay.
Yeah.
So like I had to come inside this afternoon because it was too hot out. It's like upper 80s. So same as the other two, but I was in the classroom for 10 years, middle school math. I fell in love with technology at the same time that I fell in love with teaching teachers. So I was doing a lot of trainings, and I'm really fortunate because when I found FlipGrid, I was using it in my classroom a lot, and it really impacted my class to such a way that when I knew it was time for me to step out of the classroom because I wanted to be helping more teachers, I knew exactly where I needed to be because it's something that I really genuinely believe in, and I love to tell people my story of how I was using it in the classroom.
Love it. Jess, are you a Steelers fan?
Yes, very, very,
big one.
very, very much.
So all right,
we'll leave it at that.
Yeah, it's okay. We have an
Difference.
internal battle every day here at Teach Better Team because Chad is a Steelers fan and I'm a Browns.
Oh, well, good. I knew I liked
But
Chad.
we come together because we're both Penguins fans, so it's okay.
Okay, that's
We go to
very
Penguins
fair.
games all the time, so I spend a lot of time in Pittsburgh.
So, tough to be a Penguins fan right now. But,
it is,
you know.
but it is what it is. So,
It is.
I'm a secondary Blue Jackets fan, so
Okay.
I am so lost in this conversation right now.
As long as
Hockey.
you're closer to
I
a
did
Browns
hockey.
fan than a Bengals
Yeah.
fan, it's okay.
Yeah.
No hockey.
It went from football to hockey. I at least know that.
yeah. Jornay, the only thing you need to know about is when it comes to rooting for football, Jess is wrong. Like Chad
Oh, I know that. We attended
She
a
and I-
game
yeah.
and her team lost and my team won.
Yes, yes, it's true. But my team.
Well, all right, so
it's okay.
I'm going to look at next week real quick because I don't know who is leading us next week, and I should know that. We have Dennis Sheeran leading next week. Dennis is awesome, and he's going to be talking about. Well, I'm thinking he may not have a title just yet because on my sheet his topic is why Ray and Tiffany are the best.
Oh.
Although I'm pretty sure we could have a pretty stellar master chat on that topic. So next week will be great. So tune in with us next week. We'll be here live on Facebook prior to, and then also afterwards to chat about it. So 8 p.m. Eastern time next week, and we will see you all then. Ladies, thank you so much for not only putting together an awesome chat with some really great thought-provoking questions, for the engagement that you had the entire chat, which is not always easy to do, and for coming live with us. That's awesome, and just spending your night with us. We really appreciate it. So everyone else, we will see you all home. Make sure you check out FlipGrid. If you're not utilizing your classroom, it's a great resource to look into in many different ways, and you now have 3 faces that you know can help you utilize that. So we will see you all next week.
Thank you for having us.